afternoon, everybody. I'm Linus, a researcher at VITO. And together with my colleagues, we developed the Flying Lab. This is a drone-based sensor platform that can measure air pollution and greenhouse gases in the air. It's equipped with state-of-the-art sensors, an online communication platform, and a self-learning model. Pretty cool and innovative technology. That's why we're here, right? However, I'm not really a tech guy. The fact that I have a second-hand phone from 2017 might even suggest the opposite. For me, technology is never a goal in itself. But I do believe that technology can be a very important means to reach a goal. And one of the important goals that I think we should all pursue right now is to do everything we can to prevent our world from warming any further. As a 90s kid, I grew up with climate change. And ever since, I wanted to understand how we humans can impact the climate of such a giant planet. Studying environmental technology taught me exactly that. Afterwards, during my PhD, I looked at carbon dioxide in trees to see how forests can change the global climate. And now I'm measuring greenhouse gases directly in the air to see where emissions are coming from. The past 30 years, we've come to know the problem of climate change very well. And already we're experiencing how life on a hotter planet might look like. And yet, CO2 concentrations continue to rise. That's very depressing, right? But I'm not here to make you depressed. I want to bring you a story of hope. And to show you why there is reason to be hopeful, I invite you all on a trip up in the air. And through the eyes of our drone, we'll embark on a mission to discover what is changing in the air. Because our drone sees stuff that we cannot. It can read the air like we can read words. And on its path, it reveals all the invisible components our atmosphere is made of. You all know carbon dioxide is in the air. But today, we will look at an even smaller component, which for too long has been ignored. Methane. You all know it as the main component of the gas we use for cooking or heating our homes. But what most of you probably don't know, that it's a giant warming up our planet. It's up to 80 times more powerful than CO2 in trapping heat in the atmosphere. This means it's already responsible for 1/3 of global warming so far. This means it has already warmed our atmosphere for 0.5 degrees since Industrial Revolution. CO2 only did 1 degree, and yet nobody knows about methane. And the bad news is, its concentrations are rising more rapid than ever before. 40% comes from the oil and gas industry, where it seeps from pipelines and oil wells. Another 40% comes from agriculture, where livestock and rice fields are the main contributors. The final 20% comes from waste decomposition in landfills. And to give you an idea of how big these leaks can be sometimes, last year, just 2 oil fields in Turkmenistan emitted 4.4 million tons of methane in the air. This huge amount of methane has the same climate impact as if all Belgians, each in their own car, would drive around the world once. It's also the same amount of methane that 50 million cows burp out every year. Little side note, cows indeed burp out the methane that's produced in their stomachs. Only 10% comes out as a fart. So, while people like you and me increase their efforts to fly less, eat vegetarian, or install heat pumps, methane, a climate bomb, and a valuable resource, is leaking and wasted all over the world. Invisible. But what if we could see those leak and immediately take action to stop them? Cutting methane emissions is the fastest way to slow global warming now. Its short atmospheric lifetime means that if we stop putting it in the air now, it will quickly disappear from our atmosphere and stop warming our planet. The opportunities in the oil and gas industry, for example, are enormous. It's estimated that 30% of their emissions can be cut at no net cost. And with the current knowledge and technology, we can even cut 75% of their emissions. This would result in a reduction of global warming of 0.3 degrees already by 2040. Once we know where the leaks are coming from, solutions are simple and not expensive. But how do we find those leaks? Simple. Our flying lab comes to the rescue. Thanks to the incredible innovation in laser-based sensing, we can now attach a lab-grade analyzer to a drone. This combines the reliability and accuracy of a drone with the simplicity and flexibility of accuracy and reliability of an analyzer with the simplicity and flexibility of a drone. Literally a flying lab. However, just measuring methane in the air above an industrial site doesn't tell you exactly where and how much methane is leaking. And this is where our technology stands out. It's not just measuring. The built-in model allows it to learn from its previous measurements, making it possible for the drone to decide for itself where to fly, looking for the biggest emission sources. And that's a game changer. Imagine a big industrial site. Pipelines, pumps, vessels everywhere. A big stack in the middle, countless possible locations for methane to leak. Our drone flies over it, through plumes of unknown gases. It measures, it maps, and it models. It looks for the biggest source. And on the screen of the site operator, a modeled plume unfolds, showing the size and the origin of this methane leak. That's the moment this operator will lean forward and say, right, let's fix that. Not because he's told to, but because he has seen it. And before you think our drone is the only superhero cutting methane leaks, I should tell you that it's just a part of a growing ecosystem of sensing methods focusing on methane. From high-tech ground equipment all the way to a constellation of satellites in space, the eyes watching methane are growing exponentially. And no leak, no matter how small or how remote, will remain invisible. This is not just the fantasy of some scientist in a basement of the university. No, this is real. Already, the possibility to accurately pinpoint leaks has ignited a global wave of action. More than 100 companies and countries, together covering more than 80% of the worldwide oil and gas industry, have committed to pledges. They call for transparent emission reporting and the setting of reduction targets already by 2030. To follow up on that, the European Union has set out a new legislation last year that requires companies to measure, report, and fix methane leaks. And in a few years, also methane imports of the EU will come into picture. And that might become something big. Because imagine that we could choose our gas operator based on the promise that it will deliver 100% leak-free gas. Already, certification schemes are set up that create business cases around the prevention of gas wasting. And by valorizing this otherwise wasted gas in the air, companies begin to realize that what's good for the planet might this time also be good for business. And the opportunities are enormous. It's estimated that worldwide, a volume that equals to 70% of the EU consumption can be saved that way. That's the same amount of gas that we imported from Russia before they invaded Ukraine. So, cutting methane leaks is as much a business opportunity as it is a climate solution. And what if we could turn this global pledges, enthusiasm, and so on, into a change in mindset? What if we could change the idea from we're not sure to we know, from everyone might be responsible to pointing at the exact source? And what if we could measure whether emissions are actually going down? And what if we could hold polluters accountable based on the pledges that they have made? Accurate data empowers action, it enables fairness, and it drives sustainability. I believe that this methane story is not an extra thing to worry about in these turbulent times. Instead, we could turn it into a story of hope. If we want to, we can cut most of the emissions now and reduce the speed of global warming with 30%. This will not only make our planet way more livable in the coming decades, it will also reduce the risk of our climate reaching certain tipping points of no return, like the melting of the Greenland glacier or the die-off of the Amazon rainforest. And moreover, a methane success story could also ignite wider climate action, which is essential if we want to stop global warming. And with this feeling of hope, I invite you to come back down and land safely into reality. The future of air quality monitoring doesn't need to be invented. It's already flying. And the power of the bird's eye goes beyond methane. Drones can measure other greenhouse gases and pollutants in the air. They can track illegal deforestation and river pollution. They can respond to biological or chemical attacks. And they can respond to natural disasters like wildfires and floods. And already, drones are being used as an early warning system to detect drought stress or diseases in agriculture. The question is not, can we measure? But are we ready to see? Because the air doesn't lie. It reveals and it speaks. So, if you're a policymaker, a business leader, a technologist, or just someone who breathes, this is your invitation. The data is here, not just to understand the problem, but to actually fix it. Thank you very much.